Hello, this is Daniel Mart. I am an actor and filmmaker based out of South Florida, and for this video, as you saw from the title, I'm basically going to be talking about the whole Emilia Pérez Oscar controversy. What the hell is going on with this film? Holy Jesus. I've never seen such vitriolic hatred, somewhat justifiably, given the circumstances of it all, against a film that's been nominated at the Oscars. Yeah, I'm basically going to split this video up into like a few different sections, talking about each controversy in relation to the person that it pertains to. So, Zoe Saldana, which there are a few little controversies with her, which I want to get out of the way before I get to Jack Audiard and then Gascón, because Jesus Christ, as well as some miscellaneous controversies that I don't really know who to attribute it to at the very end, that I want to discuss at the very end. But yeah, let me just start off with some ground rules for this video. Now, because of the subject of Emilia Pérez, it is talking about transgenderism, and it is about Mexicans. It is a Mexican-based film, despite being made by a French man, which we'll get to later. But I want to preface by saying this. I am Hispanic, however, I am not Mexican or Mexican-American. My parents are from Colombia and Peru. So yes, I am Hispanic. There are some things in that conversation that I can relate to. However, at the same time, there are some other stuff that I cannot relate to. And the other thing I want to point out is I am not transgender. I'm cisgender. I'm straight. Born as a man. I'm a man. I like women. So again, some of these other conversations with that, I'll be honest, maybe I'm not the most logical person to be discussing these topics, but I still want to discuss them because just like Jesus Christ. And, you know, there are videos and articles and whatever from other people within those communities that you could definitely check out. I just want to get my 2 cents on this, because how can you just not, given the conversation that this is going, how can you just not? And I am looking at my computer here because I have all my notes here, so that's why I keep looking off this way, just so you know. But before I begin, I do want to give my quick thoughts on the movie. So here's my little mini review on the movie. So I saw Emilia Pérez once, about right around New Year's, I think a little bit after New Year's, and I'll be honest, I didn't think much of it at first, in the sense that I thought it was just fine. There's some things I liked, there's some things I didn't like. I think my favorite aspect of the movie was Gascón. I really liked her performance. I thought she gave the strongest performance in the whole movie, and I did kind of, and I am using that word kind of very, very, I'm not sure if loosely is the right word, but like, with a lot of hesitation, but I did kind of like her character arc, despite how problematic it was at the same time, and which we'll get to that in a second. I thought Zoe Saldana was fine, if I'm being completely honest. Selena Gomez was fine, and that's really it. I thought the movie in general was just like very, very fine. It was nothing good, but nothing really bad. I thought the music was, if anything, the worst thing about this movie was the music, in my opinion, because it was a bunch of this type of music where it's kind of, you're talking, and all of a sudden you're kind of just talking with this weird little tune with some little background music in the background, and it's just kind of like this sing-songy talking type of stuff. For the most part, that's what most of these songs were, until you get to the penis and vagina song, which I'm not even going to be getting to get into that song. We also have like El Mal, which I'm pretty sure that's the name of the song, the one where Zoe Saldana was going on the tables and whatever. Like, I thought that song was fine. That's the thing, like, most of these songs weren't really that good, if I'm being honest, because of the whole sing-songy, talking nature of it. So when a song didn't really do that, I'm like, oh, this is actually a little bit refreshing. Go figure. But yeah, aside from that, I thought Gascón was really great in the movie. Saldana was alright. Selena Gomez was fine, alright. The writing really didn't surprise me, if I'm being honest. Like, even though I was a bit more entertained in the second half of the movie, when Gascon's character was trying to rebuild her life, I guess would be the best way to word it. Despite that, I did, even then, at that point, I did realize, oh, this is kind of falling into some tropes, and this could still be written in a better way. And yeah, I mean, that's really it. The direction was alright. I've never seen a Jack Audiard film before this, so I didn't realize he was that big of a director, especially over there in France. But yeah, I mean, that's really it. I just thought it was a fine film. After I saw it, I was somewhat shocked at the fact that it's getting so many nominations at I think by that point, Golden Globes had just given out their nominations, or something like that. Golden Globes, or I think SAG, one of these awards. Or maybe they already gave out the awards by that point. I don't remember right now. But yeah, it's one of those things like after I realized like, oh, why is it getting nominated so much? And then the one other thing with that too, to kind of go along with it, which has been consistent from every single awards body. I actually don't think that Gascon or Saldana should be nominated in the categories they are nominated in. I actually think that Saldana should be nominated in Best Actress, and Gascon should be nominated in Best Supporting Actress, because what Gascon does, even though I think it's a great performance, honestly the best performance in the movie, that is very much a supporting character, that is very much a supporting role, so she should be put in supporting. Same thing, Saldana, that is actually the lead of the film. That is the whole film realistically revolves around Zoe Saldana and her experiences with working with Gascon's character. So therefore, she should be in lead. And the only reason why I'm thinking that they have it switched is because the character is called Emilia Pérez. That's the title character. So that's the one thing with it. So yeah, let's get on to the controversies. Starting with Zoe Saldana. So for Zoe Saldana, there's only really two controversies, and one of them is really kind of just a controversy that came back up again, and that's back in around 2016, I want to say 2016, 2017, she portrayed Nina Simone in the biopic movie of Nina Simone. I'm pretty sure it was just called Nina, and there's been a lot of controversy, even back then when the movie came out, that Zoe Saldana was doing blackface. And here's my opinion on it. Again, I'm not black, I'm Hispanic. If I'm being honest, I kind of don't care. And I kind of think that even back then, I thought that whole drama was kind of blown out of proportion, because I'm just thinking, Zoe Saldana is black herself. Are you allowed to do blackface if you're already black yourself? And I guess the argument is that, oh, she's trying to portray herself in a darker skin color. Why didn't they just grab a darker actress for that? And that is something that Zoe Saldana addressed at the time. She also addressed it around 2020 when the whole George Floyd riots were going on. So it's something that's been addressed time and time again. And the fact that this drama is coming up for a third time at this point, I find it just tiring at this point. I find it needless. I find it tiring. I just find it stupid too. Like, if it was a white actress doing blackface, yes, controversy allowed. But this is a black actress portraying a black character. Even back then, I felt it was just kind of a nothing thing. Again, however, I am not black, so I'm not really the best person to really comment on this. But if I'm being honest, even with that, it's the third time that this issue has been addressed. How many times does this issue need to be addressed? How many times does Zoe Saldana need to apologize for this issue? She apologized back when the film came out. She apologized around the time of George Floyd. She's apologizing now, almost 10 years later. Like, bro, let it go. After a while, let it go. You know what I mean? And then the other controversy with her, which I also don't really know how to comment on, is the whole thing that she's being called a Zionist now. Apparently she wrote a letter to Biden right before he left office, and she wrote a letter to Biden saying how she thanked him for helping in the arming of the Israeli-occupied forces. And for those who don't know what Zionism is or Zionist is, it's those who believe in the free Jewish state and all that stuff. And okay, I'm Christian, so on top of that, I really don't care about this matter in a sense. Like, for me, I'm gonna keep it very simple. Just let them have rights, I guess. You know, like, let people live their life, whether they're Jewish, black, Hispanic, whatever. Let people be free, you know, and that's really it. Let people live however they want to live, and that's really it. And I think it's kind of a non-issue, in my opinion. Again, I'll also be honest, I don't really know the specifics of what's going on in Israel and Palestine and all that stuff. I know there's a war. I feel like there's a lot of back and forth between it, but for me, I just kind of don't care to keep up with that. And for this to be controversy, I find it kind of weird. Also because I feel like most of Hollywood also agrees with this sentiment to a certain degree. So for Saldana to be the one being pointed out for this specific controversy, all of a sudden seems kind of random in my opinion. That's the other thing with it. So for me, the Zoe Saldana stuff, I find it to be just very tacked on drama, especially because one of them, the whole blackface, has been addressed 3 times over at this point, and the whole thing with Zionist and all that, pretty sure that's like half of Hollywood to begin with, and it's like, who cares? It's like, is that really what you're focused on? So yeah, I just want to get the Zoe Saldana stuff before we get to the next 2 people, because Jesus Christ. Next up, Jack Audiard. Let's go. Okay, Jack Audiard, where do we begin with you? Can I just say he's a straight up racist? Straight up? Am I allowed to say that he's just a racist? First off, you made a Mexican film where you didn't even do the proper research in Mexico, in regards to Mexico. It's like you wanted to make this film about this region, but you didn't care to do the research for it because it was just too complicated. And actually, one of the things that he said in regards to the Spanish language, so not necessarily Mexico, but the Spanish language, which makes me question, why are you making a film in Spanish? You know, regardless if this was in Mexico or Spain or I don't know, Colombia, Peru, Panama, whatever. You know, the fact that you're making this next comment is very, I'm just straight up racist. And he says Spanish is a language of modest countries, of developing countries, of the poor migrants. I'm like, that's pretty racist, my guy. Eso es muy racista. Otra vez, yo no soy mexicano. Yo soy medio colombiano y peruano. Pero eso es racismo ahí. That's racist, okay? That's straight up racism right there. I don't know what else to call it. And that's why I'm questioning, like, why did you make this film if you don't even respect the culture or the language that you're going to be making this in? So, yeah, and then to kind of go along with that, and granted, this isn't necessarily Jack Audiard, this is more so his casting director, but given the fact that he approved this is still him. And it's the fact that they didn't cast any Mexican actors in the lead roles. First off, you have Sofía Gascón, which she's Spanish, she's from Spain. Next up, you have Selena Gomez, which is maybe the closest thing you have to Mexican out of the top three, because she is Mexican-American, but she's mixed. She's Mexican-Italian-American. And even then, she's like a third-generation Mexican, so, you know, she's kind of a little bit removed after a while. So, yeah, and then Saldana, she's Dominican and Puerto Rican-American. So, on top of that, your top three leads, none of them are really Mexican. One of them is Mexican-American, but it's third generation, so the blood is diluted, so to speak, and even then, it's mixed with Italian. So, like, that blood, quote-unquote, is diluted. And there's even controversy in that with itself, because Selena Gomez has gotten a lot of controversy in her own right for not speaking proper Spanish. And I'll be honest, for me, it didn't really bother me that Selena Gomez didn't speak proper Spanish. There was an explanation in the film given to that she was originally from the United States and she moved to Mexico, and then whatever happened in her life happened. And yes, you can take that at face value. However, you also have to recognize that the reason that explanation was given was because of the fact that Selena Gomez was casted. And Selena Gomez is not a Mexican actress, or, sorry, Spanish-speaking actress. She, you know, most of her work has been in English, which is Waverly Place and Only Murders in the Building, for example. All her work has always been in English. She's never had to perform in Spanish up until now. And that's why they gave her that excuse, so to speak, in the film where, oh yeah, she was actually born in America, which is why it gives the excuse as to why her Spanish isn't as polished as the rest of the actresses in the film. There's also a comment made by the casting director as to why they didn't cast authentic Mexican actors for these roles, and she said that their talent was not adequate enough. So it's one of those things that you're telling me that you casted across all of Mexico, and you couldn't find one single adequate actor for any of these roles, for these three roles. I understand that these roles are important. And maybe Emilia Pérez, Gascon's character, maybe that one I could kind of give you a bit of a pass because you also have to the added bonus that has to be a transgender actor. So I could kind of give you a pass on that one. But the other two, there's so many great Mexican actresses, whether they're known or not. You know, maybe go on any Spanish soap opera, for example, or any Mexican soap opera and just look through some of the actors there, for example. Or, you know, just look through their repertoire or whatever. I just find it very unbelievable that that's the excuse that they're going. And also, with that comment, that also just comes off as racist. It's like, oh yeah, we couldn't find anyone in these poor countries, as Jack Audiard is saying, in these poor migrant countries, so we had to get people from other countries who actually know what they're doing. And again, that's just a very, very racist sentiment, in my opinion. Even someone who's not Mexican myself, I just find that to be just such a very racist sentiment. The other thing I'm going to talk about in regards to Jack Audiard before I get to Gascón, Jesus Christ, is just, aside from the fact that this is supposed to be a Mexican film, this is also supposed to be a trans film, right? Transgender film. And, well, what do you want me to say? It's not really that good of a representation for transgenderism. As I said before, I did enjoy certain aspects of the movie. However, I also recognize that many of those aspects were falling into stereotypes of transgenderism, or like how transgenders should be portrayed, such as the whole masculine versus feminine energy, most notably seen when Emilia Pérez confronts Selena Gomez and attacks her in the bedroom, and all of a sudden she goes from her woman voice, so to speak, to back to her manly voice or masculine voice. There's also the issue of always dead naming, which is the usage of a person who had transitioned, a trans person, when you're using their former names. So let's say I transition, so I go from Daniel to Daniela, and people still call me Daniel. Like, that'd be a dead name, for example. So there's also the issue of that, and also the idea of that once you transition, you become a completely new person. It's like, no, just because you transitioned, that doesn't absolve you, a criminal, a crime lord, a cartel leader, from all these crimes that you've committed. It's good that you want to change your life around. It's good that you want to try to help the victims, or your former victims, need I add. But that doesn't absolve you of your crimes in the past. It's actually one of those things that I was actually hoping that would have been resolved at the end of the film, where the mass population would have found out that Emilia Pérez was originally this crime lord. And that just never happened. At the end, they honor Emilia Pérez as this saint who did so much good for the country, where it's like, yeah, but if you really knew the truth, did they really do that much good for the country when they're the ones who caused it? And yeah, just the writing for that, that's why I say the writing isn't that good, which I'm surprised why I got nominated for best screenplay, because yeah. So yeah, that's all the stuff with Jack Audiard. Now I have to talk about Gascón. Jesus Christ, Gascón. Let's get on to this one. Okay, Gascón, where do we begin? I'm gonna start off with the interviews. I feel like that's a little bit easier to discuss. I say that very, very tepidly, to be honest. But yeah, so first off, she did a whole interview by herself without Netflix's knowledge. So yeah, by the way, Emilia Pérez is actually a Netflix original movie, and Netflix, for obvious reasons, they want to control the media around their movies. So it becomes a problem when the lead star and the most problematic aspect of this film at this point is going behind Netflix's back and doing an interview all on their own. So what did she say in this interview? So first off, she doubled down on not being a racist, which is something that's more based on her tweets, which I'll get to on later. But yeah, she basically doubled down on not being racist while still making racist comments during the interview. Okay? She also questioned what she's done to deserve such hatred. And here, let me start this off first. With her being a trans actress, I understand, and of course because of the movie, I understand that right off the bat, this movie is not going to be received well by certain people in the population. There's going to be some people who are not going to enjoy the fact that there is a trans film in general. There's going to be people who are not going to like the fact that there's a trans actress nominated for Best Actress. Granted, she should be nominated for Best Supporting Actress, but besides the point, there's going to be people who are not happy that she's winning awards at Golden Globes, for example, or some of these other award shows. So I understand that she is going to get some vitriolic hatred. However, the way she's responding to it is not the best way to respond, obviously. So it's one of those things, she's adding more fuel to the fire. So when she questions what has she done to deserve all this hatred, the initial hatred, undeserved. Everything that's following up after that, because of how she's responded, and because of what's coming out at this moment, I think it is kind of deserved, if I'm being honest. And here's one of the quotes she said during that interview, because she has been asked, it's been asked of her and the Academy as a whole if they're going to renounce or rescind her nomination for Best Actress. So this is what she said. She says, "I cannot renounce a nomination because what I have done is a job, and what is being valued is my acting work. And I cannot renounce a nomination either because I have not committed any crime, okay, nor have I harmed anyone, very debatable. I am not a racist, bullshit. Nor am I anything that these people have taken it upon themselves to make others believe that I am." So, that's her response. Then she also goes on to say, "I feel and very much identify with the people who were thrown off the bus for the color of their skin, with the people who did not want them to study at university, for the people who were hated simply for existing, like how I am hated in this moment. So here's the thing with that. One, you're comparing yourself to like Rosa Parks. You're not Rosa Parks. Not by a long shot. You're not even behaving like Rosa Parks with everything you said. So there's that. Again, I understand that there is a lot of vitriolic hatred that has gone her way even before this. And like I said, I don't think she deserves that hatred. However, how she's been responding, all of her past tweets, everything she's been saying during this whole award season, it makes her seem like a humongous hypocrite. It makes her seem very hateful and spiteful towards other minorities. And it's just not a good look for her. So when she says stuff like, I have not committed any crime, that's kind of a lie. I guess it's one of those things, how do you want to define crime? But there is an argument that she may have broken Academy rules, which I'll get to in a bit. So there is that. She has not harmed anyone, and that's just a straight up lie. Again, a lot of her words, as she said, a lot of her actions have harmed people, have depressed people, for example, or have just like made a lot of people upset or disgusted with her behavior. I'm not sure what definition you're using of harm. If you're like physically harming them, then probably not. I would hope not. But you are harming people in some capacity. I am not a racist. Yes, you are. The tweets. We'll get to that later. Nor am I anything that these people have taken upon themselves to make others believe that I am. They don't really need to take it upon themselves because you're doing all the work for them, if I'm being honest. And again, you're not Rosa Parks, so there's no way you can compare yourselves to them. If the drama, if the controversy was just the fact that she's a trans actress being nominated all over the place, and none of the stuff behind her, like none of these tweets ever came out, if she herself was actually quote unquote an angel and people were just hating her for being trans and for being nominated, then yes, that statement would actually make sense. But again, with everything else that has come out, no, you cannot use that excuse, and it is just disgusting. One of the many disgusting things that she's done. Now, to go on with the crime part of it a little bit more, people have said or have accused her of breaking Academy rules. Why? Recently, she accused Fernando Torres and the team of I'm Still Here of spreading hate speech against her and Emilia Pérez. More specifically, this is a quote that she said, no one has ever seen me speaking badly about Fernando Torres or her movie. However, I do see people in Fernando Torres' circle speaking badly about me and Emilia Pérez. So right there, right off the bat, she is instigating, she is implying that Fernando Torres and or the team of I'm Still Here is sending hate speech towards her, is bad-mouthing her. And if that was true, then yes, that will be an issue. However, that's not true. From what I've seen, the only time that Fernando Torres has commented on any of this is when she said, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be nominated, and I'm happy for the rest of the actresses that are nominated alongside me, That's not her speaking bad. Now, I can understand if maybe some of the fans of I'm Still Here, or Fernando Torres fans, are maybe saying some unsavory things about Gascón, but that is not coming from Fernando Torres or the team of I'm Still Here themselves. That's coming from the fans, and you can't necessarily control fans. And if anything, going along with that video that I just talked about earlier, Fernando Torres even actually said in that video that, hey, please don't send any hate towards anybody. So on top of that, Fernando Torres is, if anything, she's trying to mitigate the possible harm that could be spewed at Gascón. And then the last thing for the interviews, she did another interview at some point where some of her anti-Muslim, Islam rhetoric was questioned. And this is basically what she said, which I'm like, what are you talking about? But yeah, this is what she said. Anyone who knows me knows that I am not a racist. You will be surprised when you find out that one of the most important people in my current life and that I love the most is Muslim. That's like saying, hey, I'm not a racist because I have a black friend. That's essentially what it sounds like. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Especially with those tweets, which, yeah, time to get to the tweets. Because, So I'm going to preface this with all the tweets. I'm not going to show any of the tweets. A lot of them are just very hateful, very spiteful, very disgusting. I'm just going to discuss what they say in a very general sense, in very general terms. If you want to go search those tweets, go ahead. They're online. I know Gascón has deleted some of these tweets, but you can still find screenshots of these tweets in like articles and videos. So I think the first tweet that really got everybody's attention, I think, or if not, at the very least, it got my attention very fast, is that she compared her hatred, the hatred that she's been receiving for Emilia Pérez and for being a trans actress who's been nominated all over the place. She's been comparing that to the hatred that the Jews got during World War II Germany. There's also been a few other tweets in regards to that where she kind of defends Hitler. So there's that too. Take that for what you will. Really take that for what you will. But just that. To go along with that, there was actually some tweets about George Floyd that she had said around the time of George Floyd, basically accusing people of still wanting to uphold, I guess would be the right word, rights for those type of people, I guess would be the best terminology without being racist right now and without directly quoting the tweet, and that he is somebody who should not be celebrated. So there's tweets about that as well. There's also a bunch of COVID tweets, a lot of pandemic tweets in regards to how it started, in regards to the type of people who first started it, the Chinese, although she didn't say Chinese, she used a lot more derogatory terms. Also, she made a few tweets regarding the 2021 Oscars. That was the year of Coda and Mank and Minari and The Sound of Metal and a bunch of these films back in 2020, 2021. And she made a lot of tweets in regards to that as to why some of these films were being honored, and she described that award ceremony as a whole in a very, very racist way or term, basically calling out both African Americans and Asians and their involvement in cinema during that year or years. And that was, I think that was just one of the more disgusting tweets I saw from her. It was just very hateful. It's like, bro, this is not the way. This is really not the way. And it's also one of those things, that's from 2021. There's been a lot of backlash for just almost every single celebrity under the sun for tweets they made back in, like, let's say 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. And if these are tweets made, like, that long ago, sure, there is some path for, maybe they've grown, they've changed, But these are most of these tweets are not even 5 years old, or they're just about 5 years old, If anything, some of these tweets are from, like, a month ago, So, like, it's one of those things that she clearly still believes in, to a certain degree. Next up, a lot of anti-Muslim and Islamic tweets. As I said, back in her interview, she said she's not a racist because she has a Muslim friend that she's very close to and she loves and whatever. Here, however, she's made several Muslim tweets. For those who don't know, again, she is Spanish. She's from Spain. And Spain has a huge Islam population. And she's made several political tweets saying why are Muslims here and why are they being accepted into my country and they should be deported and all that type of stuff. Again, I'm being a bit more PG about it, about some of the things she said, but she said a lot of bad stuff about them and how, all Muslims are terrorists and all that type of stuff, and, just using a lot more derogatory language in regards to that. Also, she randomly took shots at both Adele and BTS, the band BTS, which I found kind of just strange and random, because you have all this other stuff like George Floyd, you have, the 2021 Oscars, all this anti-Muslim, Islam hate, this, like, reverence for Hitler, whatever, and then randomly she just decides to take shots at Adele and BTS a few years back, and it's like, what? I feel, if anything, that was the most random thing I saw right there, but yeah, there was that too. And there's also just some other general sexist and racist stuff that she said over the years that I really, really don't want to get into. I think the one tweet that she did say, I think that's the most damaging, and this is end result of all this controversy, is the fact that she's blaming others. So here's the thing. She actually did take down her Twitter or X. Twitter. She did take down her Twitter. I'm not sure if she reinstated it at this moment. I'm not really sure. But about a week or two back, she did take down her Twitter. However, before she took it down or deactivated it or whatever, she made a tweet basically expressing the fact that this is not her fault, that she is not to blame for this drama, and the reason this is being blown out of proportion, is because people are purposely misinterpreting her words and spreading misinformation about what she's saying. And for the misinformation part, the only thing I've really found out that is credible in regards to that accusation in any sense of the word is the fact that there was a tweet going around where she called Selena Gomez some derogatory stuff, and she said, no, that wasn't me. But it's one of those things. If you're gonna say deny that tweet, you might as well try to deny all the other tweets. So it's also very peculiar, I want to say, that you're just denouncing the one tweet and not everything else. Gascón just... How are they going to do the ceremony, by the way? That's a whole... I'll get to that in a bit, but yeah. So yeah, now there are some other miscellaneous controversies that I didn't really know under which actor or creative person, because I did talk about Jack Audiard, under which person to put it under, so I'm just going to give you a whole section of miscellaneous controversies that are going with this film. So here you go. So first off, for random miscellaneous controversy number 1, there's apparently a parody short film called Johann Psycho Blue, and that's a parody film made by a Mexican filmmaker, and basically taking the piss out of France, essentially, because, oh, you're gonna make a film where you don't know anything about Mexico, we might as well do the same thing for France. It's just a short film, it's on YouTube. I'll be honest, I haven't seen it yet, maybe I'll do it after this, but yeah, that's the thing. Apparently people like it, so I don't know, I just feel like mentioning that because I feel out of every single controversy that we have here, this is probably just the funniest one out of the whole bunch, so might as well mention it. So to have some lighthearted humor here before we get to the rest of this crap. So yeah. Next up, and I want to say this is in France from what I understand, but I could be wrong. So if I'm wrong, I'm just going to correct it right there. But there were some cinema chains that needed to have actual government involvement with the film, in the sense that a lot of people, for obvious reasons, did not like the film. And when that happens, sometimes people want a refund for their tickets. Apparently, the want or demand for a refund for their tickets was so great that they actually needed the government to step in to help out with this fiasco, which I don't think I've ever heard that for any movie. Like, yo, your movie is so bad that you need the government to step in to refund people's money. I've never even heard that, which is, I find it to be crazy. I find that to be crazy. So yeah, take that for what you will. It's one of those things that I found that out, and I'm like, what? If anything, for me, that's one of the more surprising pieces of controversy when it comes to this movie. You know, excluding all the Gascón and Jack Audiard crap. So, yeah, and to kind of go along with this, again, as it's been heavily noted, because obviously this is a transgender film. However, GLAAD, the organization, rejects this film, which, that's kind of a problem when you're an LGBTQIA plus film. When GLAAD, one of the leading organizations for LGBTQIA plus, one of the leading organizations for that's supposed to represent that, rejects a film that's supposedly representing that. When you get rejected from that seems like a pretty bad thing to do, or a bad thing to happen, better said. So yeah, I think that's pretty bad. There's also the controversy that AI was also used in this movie. Now, AI has been a very big issue for a lot of the movies nominated in Best Picture. The Brutalist has that issue as well. I want to say Honora, has it, as well as Wicked. So a lot of these films actually have a big AI issue to it. However, not surprisingly, Emilia Pérez also has it. And I will say this much. I think The Brutalist is the most egregious example of having used AI. But just because The Brutalist is the most egregious does not give an excuse for Emilia Pérez or Wicked or Honora. And even then, I'm not even completely sure if I'm getting Honora right. So I could be confusing it with another movie right now. But it doesn't excuse these other movies from also using AI. I don't think AI should be used in cinema, period. But I think it should still be discussed to a certain degree when it comes to Emilia Pérez, because it's another controversy, so why not just put it out there? And yeah, they used it to clean up Gascon's singing voice, I guess because she was born as a man, and again, I'm not really sure how transgender or transition really works out, but because she was born as a man, despite the fact that they gave her hormones, her voice was still too deep to perform some of the sounds or get to some of the higher registers that a woman could perform at. So they used AI technology to clean up the vocals and raise her volume or raise her tone or pitch so they could get to the desired tone that they needed her for her singing voice. And well, yeah, that's I don't know what to say about that, but all I'm gonna say is that AI should not be used. AI should not be used. And I'm also just a little bit curious to know how that would have sounded, given the fact that most of the music here is just like, again, a lot of this sing-songy crap that really has no real singing music qualities. I'm really curious to know how her lower voice would have really affected the singing, because again, it's just like the singing talking crap that really doesn't matter. So that's another thing I'm kind of curious about. So yeah. Next up, I think the big one out of all the miscellaneous stuff is the fact that I got 13 Oscars. Now, if you saw my Oscar reaction video, I didn't immediately realize how many awards Emilia Pérez was actually nominated for. I knew it was nominated for a lot. I didn't realize it was nominated for 13 awards. Now, some of those nominations I kind of expected, such as Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Screenplay, for example. There are some that I fully expected, such as at least one for Best Song and Zoe Saldana for Best Supporting Actress, even though she should be in Best Actress. But there's just a bunch of other nominations that I'm like, what are you doing here? Like Best Makeup, for example, that was really random. Now, I will admit, Sofía Gascón, when she appears as a man at the very beginning of the film, I will admit, I thought the makeup job there was great, but that alone I don't think should have allowed it to receive Best Makeup. Likewise, another one I'm kind of curious about is Best Score. I believe Wicked was also nominated for Best Score, and the only reason I'm curious about that is because what score are we giving it this to? Because for me, the score would be the actual music. But does that really count as a score? I'll say this much. Nominating this for Best Score makes a little bit more sense than Wicked for Best Score, because Wicked is basically adapted music. And that got in. However, there's a whole other controversy because Dune was not allowed to get in because it was adapted music from the first, for part one. So there's a whole controversy with that too. And I'm not even going to get into my thoughts on Wicked right now. But at least this makes a little bit more sense than Wicked being nominated in Best Score. But it's still one of those things that it's just the music, the actual songs like El Mal, Mi Camino, and Penis to Vagina, and all these other songs. And You Smell Like My Dad, the perfume song that the little kid sings. Does that really count as score? You know? Best Sound. It got nominated for Best Sound. I mean, it's a musical, so sure, I could kind of take it or leave it if I'm being honest. It got nominated for Best Cinematography. That one I don't understand at all, if I'm being honest. And Best Editing, just no. Sofía Gascón being nominated in Best Actress. That aside, I do think she was the strongest performance in this whole movie. I just don't think that she should be nominated in Best Actress. She should be in Best Supporting Actress. Saldana should be in Best Actress. So those two should be flipped, but that's neither here nor there at this point. So there is that. And, at this point, given all the controversy, people just want Gascon's nomination to be rescinded. That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. Now, the Academy, they have rescinded a few awards in the past. But that's always been for the technical awards. I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, there's my correction. But I don't think they've ever rescinded an award from the top 8 categories. I highly doubt they've done that for any of the top 8 categories. And the top 8 categories are Best Picture, Best Director, all 4 acting awards, and the 2 screenplay awards, by the way. And I don't think they've ever done that. So, I don't think they're going to do that right now, unless something even more controversial comes out. And given how often that Gascón and Audiard want to put their foot in their mouth every other day, I kind of wouldn't be surprised. But at this moment, I don't see them rescinding their awards, especially Gascón. The one thing I am curious about, because they have confirmed that they want to do this for this award ceremony, is the fact that they want to present, when they do the best actor, best actress, supporting actress, when they present the award, they want 5 previous award winners to come out and say some stuff about the nominees. I don't know how you do that with Gascón. Like, I honestly don't know how you do that with Gascón. There's literally no way for you to do that with Gascón. That's the one I'm kind of very curious about. I've also heard rumors that they may, in part because of Gascón, they may not do this anymore, or they may switch it up or something like that. But I mean, however you present the awards, it's gonna be kind of tricky, and Lord forbid that Gascón actually wins, because actually Lord forbid that that Emilia Pérez wins Best Picture or Best Director. Because, I mean, a lot of people have been comparing this movie to Crash. If this wins, I think Crash will actually be seen as Citizen Kane compared to Emilia Pérez. So, yeah. Oh, and kind of going along with this whole awards thing, Netflix is also hiding Gascon's involvement during the campaign. They recently put out a for your consideration like poster, banner, advertisement, whatever, recently, and Gascon is not right there on the banner. So take that for what you will. And honestly, I'm taking that for what I will, is the fact that they want to try to distance themselves as much from Gascon. And I'm gonna be honest, it's kind of sad. It's very sad because Gascon, she's a trans actress. That is something that should be celebrated, to be honest. You know, a trans person being nominated for one of the top 8 categories in Best Actress. She shouldn't be nominated in Best Actress, again, Best Supporting Actress, but besides the point, that is something that honestly should be celebrated. But it can't, because of how she's behaved herself during this whole award ceremony. Again, I understand that very early on she was going to receive hate because of just who she is and because of the movie that she's involved with. However, the way she responded to it and what's just come out of her from the past 5 years, what's been revealed about her from the past 5 years, maybe even more, it's like you can't really celebrate this because of who this person is. And it's very sad. And I'm going to say the same thing with Jack Audiard too. You can't really celebrate him being nominated for Best Director because of his racist behavior, you know? Both of their racist behavior. And in Gascon's case, you know, anti-Muslim behavior, you know, and all this stuff. And yeah, I guess just more racist behavior, sexist behavior. Yeah. So here are my final thoughts on this. I think it's just very, very sad at the end of the day. Look, there's a lot of movies that get nominated for the Oscars. A lot of these movies are great. A lot of these movies are not that great. Sometimes you get movies like this, like Emilia Pérez, where maybe it's kind of there in the middle of the road, but there is still something to celebrate about the movie. Whether it be the performance from one of the actors, or whether it be the direction, whether it be the writing, the editing, the sound, whatever, the music. I feel to a certain extent you could always celebrate something from a film. However, just the discussion around this film, the discourse around this film, because of the lead actress or supporting actress, whatever, because of the director, because of how the movie was made, I don't think that you could properly have a celebration for this film because of just everything that's just come out of it. And it's honestly very sad and frustrating at the same time, because at the same time of that this is going on, it's taken away the discourse from all the other great movies that came out last year, like The Substance, like Conclave, like A Complete Unknown, like Dune Part 2, like a bunch of these other movies. Honora, you know, I'm Still Here, which was a surprise nomination at Best Picture, for example. The Apprentice. I'm surprised The Apprentice isn't as controversial given what happened out last year, to be honest. Somehow this is more controversial than The Apprentice, okay? Like, I don't know how that one happened, but there you go. It's honestly just sad because, again, you have all these great movies. The Brutalist, another great one. Nosferatu, you know, and some of these other categories, you know? Like, you have all these great movies, and none of them can be properly celebrated because of just the humongous stain that Emilia Pérez has given this whole awards season. And that's not even discussing the rest of the other controversies that every other Best Picture nominee seems to have for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on this year, but literally every single Best Picture nominee, all 10 of them, have some weird controversy attached to them. Some of them are minor, some of them are major, but Emilia Pérez takes it by a country mile. Jesus Christ. I think the only movie that maybe gets as controversial as Emilia Pérez is maybe The Brutalist, with the whole AI crap going on, or Honora with the whole thing with the intimacy coordinator, maybe, and even then, I think that one's a little bit blown out of proportion, if you ask me. But besides the point, but yeah, I mean, Emilia Pérez, what the hell? Honestly, what the hell? So yeah, these are my final thoughts on it. On Emilia Pérez, really, I highly doubt it's gonna win Best Picture. If anything, it will win one for Best Song and one for Saldana, and that should be about it. If it wins anything else beyond that, I don't know what to say. But yeah, that's basically it for now. I'm sure I've forgotten to just mention some stuff here. I'm sure by the time I post this video, another controversy for this movie will pop up. That's just the world we live in. But yeah, that's basically it for now. Comment everything you want to comment about in regards to this movie. Comment all that down below. Let me know. And that's basically for now. This is Daniel Mart signing off.